Thank you, Mick, and thanks to all of you for joining us this evening. And the aim really is to share with you some of the experiences over many years of running the Kernow Dive Fest, and those things that appear to have contributed to its success over the years. I would emphasize the point that I'm actually a relatively late comer to the organisation of the Kernow Festival, and it actually started off as a cooperation between branches in Cornwall aimed at getting SDCs and skills generally delivered where instructors weren't or didn't exist within particular branches. So it's a coming together of a lot of guys, particularly still with us and actually on the webinar tonight, Dave White, Chris Lobb, Alan Murray, and others from other branches around the Southwest to enable the delivery of training. And then it was from this, after some 5 years of this training package running, or training packages running, that the Dive Fest was born out of that.
So where's it going to be? Of course, when is a sort of key consideration. Picking a time where, for example, we've aimed to find a time when not only have you got favourable tides and weather, but you've also got, for example, in June we've picked ideally because you've got nice long days. Gives you a good window here. We actually did a mini event because of the lockdown. We did a mini event in September, which closed the hours of daylight down quite a bit. Was still doable, still practical. So those are things to think about. And of course, access to facilities. If you're in an area where there's a lot of tourism, which is possibly quite likely if it's good for diving, then thinking about somewhere that's out of the main season, somewhere that you're going to be able to get accommodation at a decent price and a good arrangement. And then we've got the who's involved. So clearly the organisers, and then filtering down into the clubs, into the branches, representatives, diving officers, people within the branch, and trying to get an appeal to all levels of diving. So the one thing the event has done is to make sure that each year there's a whole range of dive sites offered, which will appeal to everybody from ocean diver through to technical diving, from wrecks to reefs, places for taking photographs and that sort of thing, but also attractive, so somewhere where there are other things potentially available. So, for example, where we are, guessing probably, hopefully, most people will be familiar with this. The festival is actually held in Penzance, and so we're right down the tip of the southwest. And you can see there's a few options there. So we've got a range of dive sites. We've got sites that are less than 20 meters and very attractive. We've got sites that are over 50 meters and interesting, wrecks and reefs. And of course, because of the topography of the land there, we've got sheltered bays, and we've got actually two sides of the peninsula if the worst comes to the worst. So thinking about what we do if the weather doesn't turn out quite as we'd like it to be. We've got to think about tidal considerations, how we're going to plan things into the days or the weekends activities. And again, this goes down to the planning group and involves quite a lot of thought and a lot of work for the event. Somewhere where we can launch boats. So predominantly in the Kernow event, we're actually using branch boats. And so we need somewhere where it's convenient and relatively straightforward for launching. But also you might consider the option of charter boats as a backup. It's not something we've particularly need situations. And as I say, the availability of accommodation. So a range of options there. From campsites, we've mostly used campsites, but we do have people taking part who are thinking about the range of accommodations available. We also need somewhere where we can do briefings, have the critical social events and barbecue facilities, and everybody enjoy themselves and have fun. So really, this is well in advance, getting an overview of exactly what we've got available in our locality. And of course, finally, the and be alternatives as if where isn't exactly. So this is our ideal when we're thinking about the planning. Beautiful flat sea, blue sky, and the world is your lobster. We could dive pretty much anywhere with conditions like that. Unfortunately for us in Kernow, we've mostly had conditions like that, but it can very quickly, even in June, change to that. And clearly, we're not going to be doing a lot of diving just in that particular locality on that weekend. So looking at where we go, the event of something changing in terms of weather. But also what we found is that over these is even when the weather isn't ideal, there are still good dive sites available, but critically there's still that social gathering, still that grouping together and enjoying the social atmosphere of the event, which is critical. So within our plan, and this is just to throw up an example, a range of dive sites, as you can see there, appealing to each level of divers, everything from the less than 20-meter dives, Lowly Reef and Wreck of the Conqueror, through to the 50+ meter dives, and a couple of examples there. And even with the dive lead in advance, we'll be doing some of those dives on trimix and gases other than air and nitrox. So having that range of sites available, and where that's posted each year is on a booking form, and the booking form sent out to a club representative or branch representative, and is also something we get the diving officer of the branch, even if they're not the representative, to sign off. So what we want to know on individual booking forms diving, what's their qualifications, do they have any preferences to who they're dealing with, fix divers up so that they meet people from other branches. So the booking form is a fairly significant part of the mechanism. So again, in the planning side of it, some of the things we look for in accommodation, this slide actually shows the site that we've been using in recent. So a range of options, and you can see there's a typical caravan and camping site really. If you can see the pointer on the screen, as it happens, this area down in the right hand side of the photograph is the part that we generally occupy for the event. So there are some static caravans, some occupiers who are there regularly, but we tend as clubs and branches to be put into this area here, and that includes a nice area where we can put up a marquee and have a barbecue, and an area where we can actually park and wash off boats as well. So these are all things that we have to think about really during this sort of search for appropriate. The underwater conditions, so it's probably knowing from local knowledge whether or not you have things like plankton blooms at particular times, and being able to avoid those. And as I say, the availability of accommodation. So out of the key or peak season for whatever that area is. Who's going to be involved? Well, the organising group is pulling it together and steering it and giving direction and doing the sort of top end planning, I suppose, in general terms. But actually within branches, as I say, we have a representative from each branch. It could be the diving officer, and at some point the DO of the branch will be asked to sign off the qualifications of the divers that are submitted on the application form. The representative might be somebody else on behalf of the diving officer, and they'll be playing a key part really in bringing this together and making sure people within their branch are aware of what's going on and updates and things like that. I've already mentioned that we appeal to divers at all levels of experience and all interests. We try to fit in something for everybody, really. We also need to have from the branches equipment. So boats, for example, there's branches that can offer boats and boat coxswains. So for the event, we essentially each coxswain, I'll show you in a minute how that works. Fundraising is a key part, and that's looking at a number of aspects really. One of those is who are we actually going to raise the funds for? So having a nominated charity is really good because it motivates people to take part and to donate to the raffles and the auction and the social events. We also, through the networking of the different people involved, both in the organising group and within the branches, have donations of prizes. And we have both a raffle and an auction usually run at each event. We also have, again, through the networking of members, contacts with people, for example, local breweries for refreshments and things, and also the local harbour master has got to be brought in if you're using a harbour, as we are, and the HM Coast Guard. We have close contact with them, and ultimately they will dedicate a radio channel for use for the event, so we can keep our communications clean and clear within the event itself. So just some of the things to think about there in terms of the planning side of it. So the next step is, having thought about all these ideas and got them all together, we'd have had probably several meetings, a lot of email correspondence, as you'd expect, and we pull together the bits of that plan and decide how they're going to work, and then we get the preparation phase. So that includes things like working out which dive sites we're going to use, which launch site, diver and boat allocations, all these sorts of things. And that photograph quite nicely illustrates the sort of level of activity that commonly we'll encounter on the quayside at Penzance. And you can see there the slipway, which is ideal for launching. Except, of course, that the tide comes in and out here, and we can't actually launch and recover for a couple of hours either side of low water. So again, we have to build that into plan. People involved in this will be the branch DOs, so the branch representatives. We'll have to think about the capability and capacity of the boats that are available and diver coxswains. And it may well be that somebody from one branch ends up coxing somebody else's boat, so that everybody gets to dive. But obviously, if that happens, there'll be familiarization and a bit of a handover. The DO's responsibility in the end, as I say, even if he's got a representative, just the negotiating and the sharing of information, the DO actually signs off that the branch members are suitably qualified and experienced to do the dives that they've been listed for. That's a key part of it. Buddy pairings. Very often people will choose to pair up with somebody from their branch, but one of the concepts of the festival is to share ideas and to actually pair up perhaps with somebody from a branch that you've not dived with before. So it gives people a chance to find out a little bit about how other people do things. And again, because we're doing that, we've got to be really careful about making sure that the people concerned are appropriately experienced and are also going to get on with one another. So, you know, things like who do you put with a photographer, that sort of thing. At the same time, this isn't a training exercise, so or the event isn't really intended for doing training, but it is an opportunity for example, advanced divers to build a bit of experience and get involved with the organising and look at it as part of their development as an advanced diver. So this is just to give you an idea of last September's Saturday dive plan. So this is how it was pulled together. Dave and Chris, who are actually listening in on the talk tonight, primarily involved in this. So they distill all the incoming application forms and they produce a chart for the day. And this is just for the first dive. So you can see that what we've got there, starting on the left-hand side at 9:45 in the morning, are 4 boats going out to a couple of different sites. So on the extreme left, 2 boats going out to the Helops, which is in Mounts Bay, a short drive out. A couple of boats there with the coxswains nominated, and then the divers, and they use a colour code to identify which branch the divers are from. So you can see there that in the upper boat, the Plymouth Sound boat, down at the bottom of the people who are going to be on that boat, you can see there's a mixed buddy pair there from 2 different branches, but the others are from the same branch. And then going through the day, as we move across to the right, you should be able to see on the top right of each block a time. So the next wave of boats goes out at 1:15, and actually they're all going out to the Runnel Stone. Well, there are a couple more on the far side here that are going out to Alice Marie as a 9:45 depart. So this chart really brings everything together and enables us to make sure that the right people are in the right place with the right equipment at the right time, which is a key part to making it all run smoothly. Also, during the preparation phase, a couple of weeks before the event, the local branch needs to go out and shop the sites. This makes it a lot easier on the day for people to go right to the site without having to worry about having to locate it. So locally, we'll get the branch to go out. They'll have the equipment all prepared in advance. It may be contributed from different sources, and they'll go out, shot all the nominated sites, the primary nominated sites. It makes everything a lot smoother on the day, and it does also mean that people are going to get on the dives rather than nearby. And to assist in the process on the day, also during the preparation phase, we get route cards made up. So again, this is Dave and crew on the organising side produce laminated cards. One side of that you can see the passage plan or the route plan. In this particular case, it's the Runnel Stone. It includes on there the actual course and the tidal information. And then on the other side of the chart will be the boat that's going. So there's one of these for each boat. It lists people in the boat on the other side of the form, and it gives the coxswain the plan for getting to the site, locating the site. So again, useful in keeping things tidy and running smoothly and safely. And then, as I say, the social side of it is a key part. It's not just a diving weekend, it's a festival. So the whole thing's pulled together by all the social aspects. And there are various sort of things going on. The Friday night often is a bit of a social night with the Saturday. The print event is on the Saturday night, and that's a barbecue. And things we need to think about there are, you know, getting the equipment together. Where's the barbecue equipment coming from? Things like marquees or gazebos, depending on what you've got in terms of availability. Can that be offered by a local company? Do you have contacts who can get hold of those? And then thinking about things like raffle and auction prizes. Again, with our situation, not only do the branches and some individuals donate prizes, but we also have a lot or quite a few local Suppliers and manufacturers also contribute prizes to the auction and the raffle, boat operators as well. So we get prizes for the auction and raffle from a variety of different sources, really. And the other thing that we do for each year is we have a T-shirt, and it's actually the 2015 T-shirt. You'll probably see in some of the slides as we go on the other year. But each year we have a T-shirt with a unique design, and they're done over recent years by Fourth Element, who produce a really good quality T-shirt. They're currently at £25 a shirt, and I'll be advertising at the end of the talk as well. And again, the T-shirt really pulls everyone together, so we've got this sort of common identity. And the T-shirts for this year in June 2022 are actually now on sale, and we hope to have them out and about and people being able to see the T-shirts during the coming months, and therefore attract people into the event. So eventually we come to on the day. So all this planning and preparation leads to the actual delivery on the day. And because everything's been considered, it's been planned, it's been prepared well in advance, the day always seems to run very smoothly. And of course, this is down to all those initial phases. We start off usually the night before, in our case, with the briefing of the boat coxswains, and they'll get their route plans. They'll know who's going to be in their boat, so that the following morning, down to the quayside, launch the boats, and then start to pick up the first wave of divers going out to the first dive sites. We adhere rigidly to safe diving, so it's only buddy pairs. We don't take odd numbers of divers, and to enable that, we usually have a bit of capacity, so that if somebody suddenly gets incapacitated at the last moment, we can actually find them a buddy, buddy them up and get them on diving. So we don't have any multiple groups, it's all buddy pairs, and safe diving is followed throughout the weekend. Good relationships with the harbour master are ensured by having a quayside or slipway manager, a beach manager. And I know he can't be on the call tonight, but Andy, one of the organising group, has been doing that the last couple of years, basically making sure that everything is coordinated on the quayside, making sure that problems are sorted out as and when they occur, so that everything runs smoothly. And then we also have the VHF. We have an independent channel which is suggested to us by the Coast Guard, so that we run the whole event on a separate VHF channel, and the VHF monitoring station runs VHF 16 as a backup. And as it happens, we have a really nice position on the end of this quayside where all the boats alongside the pontoon there. It's an elevated position looking out across Mounts Bay, and you can see there a group up in the control room listening out for the radio and discussing a few of the finer points, no doubt. So also sort of final updates and things. That's gone out of order, I think. Just noticed that preparation final updates. As you can imagine, before the day, we just need to make sure the weather, we have the latest weather forecasts. We have the latest update on who's actually going to be there, whether we've had any sickness, dropouts or other issues. And we, at that stage, talk to any third parties like the Coast Guard, Harbour Master, etc. That's what happened there. Just quickly to skim through a couple of the dive sites, or a few of the dive sites. This is our an example, lowly reef, less than 20 meters. There's a trail on the site, so less experienced divers can make their way around these ledges, and they can find bits of the SS Primrose wreck. They could find even older bits of cannon and things like that, and a lot of interesting marine life as well. So that's an example of one of the shallower sites. Stepping up a little bit, we have the Alice Marie in Mounts Bay. Again, a lot of different things. So actually appeals to the whole range of divers because it's not only a wreck, but as you can see, it's well inhabited with marine life. So it's good entertainment and very popular with the photographers as well. Helops, which is in the 35 to 40 meter range, only a short boat ride across Mounts Bay. So again, the ones I've mentioned so far are all in Mounts Bay. They're all a short ride out, and they can all be dived in, you know, a fairly wide range of weather conditions, as long as the weather's not coming straight into Mounts Bay, because they're all getting a lot of shelter. So in your own planning, in your own local area, it's having these sites which are location, bring that option of a range of different sites, and having some degree of shelter or protection, or possibility of moving if the weather doesn't work out as we want. And then the Runnel Stone, which is a classic, and again, right off the tip of Cornwall, so it is a little bit prone to rough weather and things, but again, we've got a site there that ranges from the top of the reef at 10 meters down to 45, and these you see in the photographs are from the SS City of Westminster. This is one of the number of wrecks, 2 or 3 wrecks on that Runnel Stone. And a bit deeper, the Jon Park, the Liberty ship, which actually was torpedoed and sank on the same night as the better known James Egan Lane just off Plymouth. And Jon Park is in 55 meters, so it's actually less broken up than the Egan Lane. So it's a more substantial wreck. And actually the ship in the photograph there is the Jeremiah O'Brien, which is currently afloat in San Francisco Bay. I don't know if anybody's been there. So that's the diving. It's a wide range of different sites for different people and different interests. And as I say, also on the day, the barbecue. And what we're looking for there is something which is both safe, inclusive, good fun, and includes the fundraising or part of the fundraising elements of the event. So in terms of safety, things we're looking for is firefighting equipment if there is a problem, because it's always a possibility, isn't it, with a barbecue? An over-enthusiastic chef. Getting people involved, so people from the branches are doing the actual work on the barbecue, making sure the food's adequately cooked so it's safe to eat, and everybody having fun, so a little bit of music, a bit of entertainment, and then somebody to run the raffle, and particularly the auction is always a lively part of the evening. You know, if you can get a good auctioneer or somebody who's got a good way with them on auctioneering, then that really makes the evening. And as you can see, all these guys are having great fun. And again, in more recent years, we've actually had quite a substantial marquee on the site just to protect against adverse weather. We have been very lucky, and even last September when we ran the event, we were lucky in that the weather was generally pretty good. It was a little bit dark and chilly a bit earlier evening, that's all. But on that, everybody had good fun. And you can see there some of the other t-shirts. So I think that's 2017's design t-shirts being worn at that event. So there we go. Quite a lot that needs to be thought about post-event. First of all, the most obvious is from the safety point of view is actually making sure you've got all your divers and boats back and closing down with the relevant authorities, the Coast Guard, Harbour Master and stuff like that. The second bit there really is site clearance. You know, if you're going to come back to that site again, whether it's the campsite, the quayside, the slipway, the harbour, whatever it is, you want to make sure you leave it in a better condition than when you arrive there, really. just to create the impression that people are going to welcome you back. The organisers group then has to debrief and work out what went well, and usually we get a good lot of them, and then things that we could tweak a little bit to actually improve for future events. And it's an ongoing learning process. And as I say, it's been going for 20 years now down in Kernow, and it gets better every year. We then got those opportunities like social media updates, making sure people know what we've been doing, and hopefully you'll be attracted to future events and just other things that Kernow do as a group. Making sure that we thank the contributors and the donors, and then finally presenting to the charity the funds we've raised through the event. So this is actually 2016 when we raised £4,550 in that year on that event. This, I think, was 2017, just a year after the sort of amount. But that handover, that presentation can be at a public event. The top photograph shows diving on the edge where it was presented to DDRC as the charity that we raise funds for. And the other one was actually presented on site at DDRC. We have in the past presented at the diving conference and at other events. But again, keeping the profile of the event up. And actually, over the 20 years, we're just short of having raised just short of £45,000 for DDRC as a charity. It's 48,860 something. So, you know, really big effort by all the branches involved, by all the contributors, and by the organisers and getting it all running together. Kernow Dive Fest 2022, we already have a date for that, which is Saturday June, with a lead-in on the 10th. It's going to be down at Penzance, and you can on the website, and that's the URL there for the website. As I say, this year's T-shirts are already available. They're £25 a shirt, really lovely quality things. I'm not wearing this year's, I'm wearing 2019 by the look of it. And our next planning meeting, which is hopefully a face-to-face this time, is on Saturday, the 26th of March. So the key people from the branches, the representatives and the organisers all get together and pulling together sort of final touches and making sure that things are all working well. And that's actually the design for this year's 2022 T-shirt. And as I say, that is actually available now, and it can be ordered through the website or via John Adams, who's coordinating that. So to summarize, really, there's a lot of effort goes in. It's very tiring, as you can see from the photograph. The key to it is structure, and that is, you know, following a simple route that we all do in planning, preparation, on the day, the delivery, making sure we don't forget the post-event part. And the key to it all is about people, and it really is about people. It's about networking. It's about who we know, who we've got contacts we can get resources from, and this all makes it work. And somebody once said to me that, you know, how is it that it's been for 20 years and it still generates this enthusiasm and motivation? And in the end, I always think it's the magic is in the people, you know, the commitment that comes out of the individuals who are involved, both as organisers, divers, supporters, people just coming along, is phenomenal. And if you can get that going, if you can get that magic, then your event is going to be successful. And I think that just about wraps it up. So I can take any questions, and actually, I guess some of the other guys can probably do that as well.